it's time to count down my top 30 PPR players. Now this is going to be a longer video than usual, but sit back, relax, and let's get to it. Starting at number 30, we have Cam Akers. Akers was injured before the beginning of the season last season, and boy, he was hyped up leading up all the way up into the fantasy drafts last season. Since he missed the entire bit of last season, there will be many who sleep on him and could serve as some solid value come draft day. If you can land him as your RB2, then you should be set up for success. He is the starting running back for the best team in football. Tons of positive game scripts should be in his future, giving him some garbage time touches in the fourth quarter. Be ready to target Cam Akers in the second or third round of your draft in 2022. Next, let's go to number 29 and talk about Terry McLaurin. McLaurin is a solid wide receiver who received what I would call a QB upgrade this offseason. Carson Wentz has shown he can produce a solid wide receiver as he did with Michael Pittman Jr. last season. Landing Terry McLaurin as your wide receiver 2 should be a priority. If he was your wide receiver 1, I would be a little bit nervous just because of the offense that he's on, but he should give you consistent weeks of production. Look to grab McLaurin early in your drafts in 2022. At 28, we're going to go over George Kittle. I would be willing to raise Kittle a little bit higher on my rankings if I was sure of his injuries. It seems like Kittle misses so much time, and I'm all about safety when it comes to my drafts. Kittle could prove to be a nice safety blanket for Trey Lance in his first year as the starter. Kittle should produce nice numbers to ensure him as a top 3 tight end this season, as long as he can stay away from the injury bug in 2022. Landing at 27, we have Aaron Jones. Jones should be taking on more of a pass-catching role in 2022 from Aaron Rodgers since Davante Adams left. Jones should find himself in quite a few positive game scripts and also see an uptick in receptions out of the backfield in 2022. Until rookie Christian Watson gets comfortable, look for Aaron Jones to be utilized heavily in this offense. Shooting into number 26, let's talk about Saquon Barkley. Having Barkley at 26 hurts my soul. He has such an amazing potential, but he just cannot stay healthy. On top of that, when he is healthy, he has to play for the pitiful New York Giants. It's a lose-lose situation that keeps me up at night wondering why the fantasy gods hate Barkley so much. You should be able to snag Barkley in the second round, but if he has a great season, he can easily be the number 1 player overall in 2022. As for me, I'll be staying away from this trap. 5 down, 25 to go. Let's talk about number 25, Ezekiel Elliott. Elliott is the starting running back on a really good offense who gets a lot of touches. So why do I have him at number 25, you ask? Well, Tony Pollard, that's why. This guy has been vultured more and more from Elliott year after year because he's a really good running back. There are some entire series that go by without Elliott even on the field because Pollard is the guy. This has completely hurt his fantasy value. Elliott can still function as an RB1, but just be prepared to have some disappointing weeks. At number 24, we're going to have Mark Andrews. Last season with Tyler Huntley at quarterback, Andrews went nuts for the fantasy football playoffs. He will look to continue that momentum with Lamar Jackson this season. Mark Andrews has the capability to contend as the number 1 tight end this season. He is someone you can draft and be a set it and forget it type of tight end. Look to take Andrews early in your drafts, and depending on where you can get him, you should be a happy camper in 2022. Coming in at number 23, we have Antonio Gibson. Gibson should continue to find success in 2022. He is a bell cow type of running back that does get the goal line carries. With new quarterback Carson Wentz at the helm, there should be even more goal line opportunities, which should raise his fantasy production. Antonio Gibson would be an amazing RB2 for your team if you can get him. His consistency will help you get plenty of wins in 2022. At number 22, we have someone who I had to drop out of my top 15 due to the signing of Melvin Gordon. I'm talking about Javonte Williams. Williams was primed to take over the lead backfield for a team that will be much improved after the acquisition of Russell Wilson. I still believe Javonte Williams will have a larger workload than last year, but it's going to be the same running back A and running back B between Williams and Gordon. I'll let someone else deal with that headache in 2022. Down to number 21. Now we are going to bring up Courtland Sutton. The improvement of the offense, as I was talking about with Javonte Williams, stands the same here for Sutton. The acquisition of Russell Wilson should help vault Sutton into a top wide receiver in 2022. Hopefully people are sleeping on the Broncos wide receiver and you could swoop him up early in the draft. Sutton should produce solid numbers every week in 2022. Top 20 time, so let's talk about number 20 on my list, CeeDee Lamb. Lamb will be the number 1 wide receiver for Dak Prescott now that Amari Cooper is with the Browns. Lamb has the talent to be a top wide receiver in this league. He's explosive, a good route runner, and has good hands. Dak should look his way early and often. Look to draft CeeDee Lamb in the second round of your drafts in 2022. At number 19, we're going to talk about Najee Harris. Harris is the epitome of a bell cow back. He gets all the snaps. He gets all the touches. He gets all the carries. He gets all the running back receptions. And in short, he gets everything. His biggest problem is his yards per carry. Every time he touches the ball, he gets hit before he even reaches the line of scrimmage. His offensive line is putrid, to put it nicely. Yes, they did add some offensive line help this offseason, but we're going to have to see if it's been enough to launch Harris into the top 10 of a fantasy producer. Harris is a decent RB1 for your team, but there will be weeks with you saying some F-bombs due to his offensive line. Coming in at number 18, we're going to talk about DEEBO Samuel. Just as a preface, these rankings will almost certainly change as we get closer to the drafts, and Samuel's ranking will either go up or down depending on his landing spot. He has formally requested a trade from the 49ers because he doesn't want to be there any longer. I will adjust his rankings accordingly as we learn more of his situation. DEEBO Samuel is a very good receiver and worthy of a second round pick in your draft as of right now, but landing in an unfavorable spot could make Samuel plummet down my rankings. Next, we move on to number 17 with Travis Kelce. Kelce has been known as a bona fide number 1 tight end for the last several seasons, and it looks like he will easily be the number 1 this season now that Tyreek Hill is gone. Red zone targets should be at a premium for Kelce. Kelce is usually overdrafted in round 1 of your drafts, but if you're lucky enough to grab Kelce in the mid to late second round, then consider that a steal. Kelce is as much of a set it and forget it type that you will ever see in fantasy football. The only reason he isn't higher on my list is his age, and the decline will happen sooner rather than later, and I won't be kept holding the bag. Chugging along to number 16, we have DeAndre Swift. Swift has the potential to have a breakout season this year. The Lions as a team is awful, but Swift is definitely a bright spot on this team. He has the ability to hit the hole and take it to the house on any play. He is an exciting player to watch and to have on your fantasy team. My goal for Swift is to land him in the RB2 slot for your team. As an RB2, you're happy. As an RB1, you're going to be nervous just because how bad the offense is. Now at number 15, we have another player who can easily finish well above this ranking, and that's Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas missed all of last season due to a surgery, but he should be back ready to roll this season. The Saints' offense is loaded. Jameis Winston has Thomas, KAMARA, and newly acquired Olave from the draft at his disposal. Look for Thomas to be targeted early and often in this offense. If you're able to snag Thomas, you will have a consistent wide receiver 1 that you can start every week, no matter the matchup. Moving on to number 14, let's talk about Jamar Chase. Chase came onto the scene last year as a rookie and blew everyone away. He had immediate chemistry with quarterback Burrow, who was his quarterback in college. Chase has a knack for being in those big plays and is extremely exciting to have on your roster. He is someone that you should be targeting at the end of the first half of the second round. He could be great wide receiver for your roster. At number 13, we have Justin Jefferson. Jefferson is a part of a very good offense led by Kirk Cousins. Jefferson produces at a high level each and every week. He is clearly the alpha over Adam Thielen in the offense and should be taken towards the end of the first round to the beginning of the second. Jefferson will be a fantasy producer for the Vikings for years to come. Just make sure he's on your radar in 2022. Down to the top 12. At number 12, we have Tyreek Hill. Hill fell in my rankings 3 spots when he was moved to the Dolphins. I mean, let's face it, Tua isn't Mahomes. There will be a decline in production. The problem is that we don't know how much of a decline he's going to have. Tyreek Hill will be the focal point of the offense, so he is still worth a first-round pick. I think I will try to stay away from Hill just because of the uncertainty of his production. With a first-round pick, you want to be sure of what you are getting, and with Hill, we just don't know yet. Coming in at number 11, we have Nick Chubb. Chubb is a part of a good ground-and-pound offense. The questions this season will be how adding Deshaun Watson will change this offense. Does the team become more pass-happy and not run as often? With a duo partner in Kareem Hunt, what has made Chubb successful is the amount of carries he's gotten. If those running attempts are decreased, his value should decline. Draft Chubb with caution in 2022. Top 10 time. At number 10, we have Stefon Diggs. Diggs is a great wide receiver 1 to have on your team if you can get him. His consistency week in and week out is something that you can depend on and is one of the safer picks in the draft. The offense is tailored around Diggs, and anytime you can find a wide receiver like that, it comes with solid production. Look for Diggs to go in at the back end of your first round in 2022. Talking about number 9, we have Joe Mixon. Mixon went from an injury risk to a consistent weak plug-and-play starter in 2021, and he will look to continue that trend in 2022. Mixon plays for a great offense and is used on all 3 downs. Mixon has the talent to have big games on any week and should be drafted as your RB1 in the first round of your draft. At number 8, we're going to talk about Austin Ekeler. Ekeler started to become the goal line back this year among everything else he has done, which has made him a fantasy football gold mine last season. The thing going to Ekeler is that the Chargers have yet to find a backup to give him a breather from time to time. This year they drafted Isaiah Spiller to do just that. If Spiller can be a productive running back for this team, Ekeler should see a small decline in production, but he should still be able to do enough to keep him as a top 10 fantasy football producer in 2022. Switching gears to number 7, we're going to go with Alvin Kamara. First off, we do need to see what will happen with his legal situation he had at the Pro Bowl, and if it comes down to him being suspended for games. I will adjust this ranking accordingly, but for the sake of this video, I will go on as if he plays all season. Kamara will be a part of a potent offense that will include Michael Thomas and newly acquired Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara is a big-time potential as every carry or catch can be sent to the house. The only thing keeping him out of the top 5 is there's going to be some weeks where he will end up with less than 10 points due to not being involved enough in the offense. Overall, Kamara is a nice RB1 to have on your team. At number 6, we have Davante Adams. Adams can easily be much lower on this list depending on how he responds on being with Derek Carr instead of Aaron Rodgers. I just had a hard time dropping him below number 6. Adams is a touchdown machine who every year puts up crazy stats. Now this is the first time in the NFL that Adams gets to play with his college quarterback Derek Carr, so the chemistry should be there, but it could be rusty. We will have to wait and see what Adams' production will be, but he should still be surefire top 10 producer for fantasy football in 2022. Well, we've made it to the top 5, and at number 5, we have Cooper Kupp. What Kupp did in 2021 is nothing short than amazing. He had immediate chemistry with Matthew Stafford, and they lit the league on fire all the way to a Super Bowl title. Kupp should once again be an amazing player to have on your team and produce some crazy numbers for you. I placed Kupp above Adams after Adams moved to the Raiders, but Kupp is still the best receiver in my rankings for 2022. At number 4, we have Dalvin Cook. The only thing that scares me with Cook is his likelihood of being injured. I always stayed away from Cook because he just cannot stay healthy. Last year, he actually stayed relatively healthy and produced a great year. My biggest complaint with Cook is that I cannot trust him, and when you have to spend such a high draft capital on him, it's just not worth the risk for me. Even with all of that said, he is still at number 4 to me because of how good Cook is. At number 3, we have Christian McCaffrey. This will be a telling year for this year. If McCaffrey gets injured this year, he will have no choice but to have the injury-prone tag applied to him. He is such an electrifying player that I cannot drop him out of my top 3, but there is a massive buyer beware sign on his forehead. You know what you're getting with McCaffrey when you draft him. You're getting an arguably the best player in football when he is healthy. Do yourself a favor if you take McCaffrey and use a higher pick to grab Chuba Hubbard as a handcuff so you aren't left holding the bag if McCaffrey gets injured this season. At number 2, we have Jonathan Taylor. Most people have him at number 1, and I can't fault anyone for that. Taylor broke out last season and became the best player in fantasy football. If you had him on your team, you were not disappointed, and he probably brought you to a winning season. He is by far the bell cow in Indy, and with Matt Ryan now at quarterback, you can easily see Taylor repeating what he did last year. He does everything so good, it's hard not to feel warm inside when you see him on your roster. Now at the number 1 spot, I have Derrick Henry. Henry is a man-child. He loves stiff-arming everyone and being the focal point of a run-first type of offense. Not many can one-on-one tackle this behemoth of a man. He can rush for 200 yards any given week and almost certainly will give you anywhere between 75 to 100 yards every single week at minimum. He is my number 1 running back because of his production and his stiff arms. I wish you got bonus points for every stiff arm he gave. That would be cool. Thank you as always for watching the video. Be sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any of the content that we put out. Make sure you leave a comment down below if you disagree with any of my takes or if you believe somebody should be in the top 30 that I didn't include. Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.